Hello folks, today we're going to be working on the Husqvarna 130BT leaf blower project. So if you didn't watch the last video, I'd recommend watching that. But basically we got this thing and it had been parted out big time. It was missing so many parts, but I was able to get the air filter base for it, a carburetor, and just enough to get it running basically. And now I ordered a gas tank for it, although it's not the OEM one, so it doesn't, unfortunately, it doesn't bolt in, because the original ones, they are super expensive and super hard to find, and so it just was unrealistic to try to get one of those. But this one was super cheap. It was literally the cheapest one I could find on Amazon, but it's pretty big, and we should just be able to like use a big hose clamp or something to hold it in there securely, and it'll work for us. Might not want to sell it like that, but. And then a company was actually kind enough to send me a free carburetor for this. So the HIPAA parts company actually reached out to me and offered if they could help me with any of my projects. And I mentioned this one, and they were able to send out the carburetor with some of the fuel lines and gaskets and stuff, which was very nice of them. And from what I can tell, they have very good customer service. They get back with you very quickly and can help you with anything you need. And the shipping time is very quick. I think it only took a couple days to get to where I live in Oregon, but of course it may vary depending on where you live. But I will have a link in the description to where you can find these parts, and also go to their website and check out. They have a lot of parts for just lawnmowers, weed eaters, small engine stuff basically, for very affordable prices. They are, of course, aftermarket parts, and it's always nice to get OEM parts, but sometimes they can be prohibitively expensive. So this sort of solves that issue. Thank you to them for helping out with this video, and you'll see how well these parts performed later in the video. Okay, so they sent me, I requested a carburetor for this project. They asked me if there's anything I needed, and so they sent me the same one that's on there, because what happened is this one came too lean. It was just way too lean, so I drilled out the jet, but I over drilled it, unfortunately, and now it runs too rich. So basically we'll try this one out and see if this one runs any better. So this was just a temporary filter I had on there, which was just a sponge basically, but it actually worked pretty good. I oiled it to make sure no junk would get in there. So let's take off this carburetor. Here's the new carburetor. So the last one, like I said, ran too lean. So hopefully this one will run good, just right. Now the issue with these carburetors is that when you put them on here, this is a 90-degree bend, so the throttle cable has to go in there like that, and it's really not ideal. So what I did with the other carburetor is I just bent this plate a little bit, which didn't harm the carburetor really. It just bent the bracket a little bit, but it allows it to take less steep of an angle. So I'm going to do that with this one as well. We just basically grab it and go a little bit more, like that. So we just put this in here, and then press in the throttle and get our little thing in there. All right. So now the new fuel tank, which is very big. The fuel lines are actually like the perfect length here. So the black one is the main fuel line actually. Then this yellow line is the return from the primer bulb. So now we just need to fasten it down. That'll do for now. All right, so now it's not that secure, but it'll keep it from falling out. $50-1, which is what I believe what Husqvarna recommends for their equipment. We're gonna use the primer bulb here. Yep, sucking it up. And you can see it pushing bubbles out the return line. Now, we turn it on. Also, I should make sure that we have idle and wide open, which we do. All right, let's see if she'll start. It'll idle, but it doesn't look like it's gonna rev up. Great. Yeah, the second you give it gas, it dies out. This is exactly what the other one did. There's a little adjuster thing up here. Yeah, it's running super lean. I richened it up, but this is for the idle adjustment. Alright, so what I'm going to do to check how it's running, I'm going to run it on full throttle for a couple minutes, kill it, and then check the spark plug and see how if it looks like it's running too rich or too lean. But it sounds like it's running pretty good. Alright, we ran it for a couple minutes on wide open throttle. Put on a glove to take that out. Alright. It's still hot. Here, we'll put it in the socket so I won't be burning my fingers. Okay. So, it's gray. Probably could have ran it for a little longer, but that doesn't look too bad. Well, I'm sorry. It's a little white, maybe. It might be burning a little hot. It's hard to tell. A little lean. Which is what the last carburetor was doing before I messed with it. Except the last one was running so lean that it was bogging. Like it wouldn't get to full throttle, full RPM. Which this one is. We'll try it again. But it seems to be running pretty good. Sadly, we still don't have the blower tubes for it. Because the lady I bought it from said she had the blower tubes for it. And then they never got back to me. They said we could get them, pick them up. But the lady never got back with me. So I would just have to buy them. And they're not cheap, of course. And so we just haven't got around to doing it. But we can still hear it run like this. It takes a little bit to get up to speed, some time. I think it's running too lean. You can tell it's running a little on the lean side, which isn't that good because that means the engine's also running hot. What was happening last time, so let's I guess I can try and see the difference in jet size between the old carburetor that I drilled out and this new one and kind of compare them. So I'll show you when I have that stuff apart. So we got both carburetors apart. This is the new one and this is the old one, and so the main jet is right here. So you basically can just pry it out. And so this is the old one, keep in mind, that I had drilled out or enlarged a little bit. The camera needs to focus. All right. So you can see how big that hole is in there. Okay. Now we'll look at the new one and see if it's any smaller. Yes, it is. Look at that. Here, I'll keep the new one in this hand. Whoops. The old one in this hand, and we can compare. Yeah, you can clearly see the one on top. The old one is a lot bigger. So we're gonna make the new one, drill it out just enough to where it's not as big as that, because that's too rich, but somewhere in between. So what you have to do, it's so tiny that you cannot, no drill bit is ever gonna fit in there. So what you have to do is take a wire, and even this tiny wire was too big, so I had to shave the wire down on one side and flatten it, and then use it to drill it out, basically. So let's see, this is the old one. Let's see if we can pass this through. Yeah. So we can pass this wire through it. And I bet you this will not go through the new one. No, it doesn't even go on at all. Okay, well, let's start drilling. So basically we just twist it. Ooh. Twist it very carefully. So these are made out of brass, which is very soft, so it's easy to drill through. I think I'm going to stop right there. Maybe. Alright, so the top one's the old one. This one, the bottom one's still quite a bit smaller. I can't tell if it's bigger than it was though. Probably. We'll do a little bit more. Okay. That's where we're gonna stop and test it out and see if it's any better. And it can take a lot of just testing it and then re-drilling it just a little bit more. It can be an arduous process, but thankfully for you, you don't have to do that. I do. But hopefully we got it right first try, although that's pretty unlikely. I think this is the correct way. Yeah, it is. It's really windy. Yep. All right, let's put it back on. I don't think we overdid it because it's still definitely smaller than the other one, but I think it looks bigger than it was. So we'll prime it back up. Primer works good. Choke it. Alright, so here's what it looks like after running for a couple minutes at wide open throttle only. And I don't know, is it still too lean? Because it is kind of white. It actually looks a little less white on camera, or in person than it does on camera, but is it too lean still? I don't know. It sounds a little better. Just did the tiniest little bit more. I think it's still smaller than the old one, but it's hard to tell at this point. They're very similar. So back together it goes. All right, moment of truth. Let's try it again. Whoops, yeah, we didn't hook up any of the fuel lines now, did I? That's not.
Just prime it like twice or something.
Well, you gotta prime it a lot because this doesn't, it's not squirting fuel into the carburetor. It's just, it's purging. It's actually called a purge bulb. It just sucks fuel through the whole carburetor and recirculates it to make sure it's, all the diaphragms have fuel. All right, there we go. Holy cow! Dude, massive gust of wind and the ladder almost killed me. The gas tank's gonna go flying off there. This kid's crazy. It does produce a little bit of thrust, maybe a pound or two. It's probably not that good for it to turn it off right after you ran at full throttle, but that's how you check the spark plug for wide open throttle, how it's running, to see how it's running. You know what? It still looks almost the same. It might be a little darker. Yeah, I think it is. It might be a little bit darker. It's so hard to tell though. But yeah, that's where we're going to keep it for now. If any of you in the comment section have any input, how you think this thing's, if it's in a good range, I think it is because it's running good. I think this is where we're going to keep it. So thank you once again to, I believe it's HIPAA company. I might need to check again. Ow! Yeah. They actually, apparently they have their own brand of spark plugs. You can see HIPAA, and there's the number for the spark plug. But yeah, thank you for the HIPAA company for sending me this free carburetor, or this carburetor for free. It wasn't free on their website, but and the fuel lines and everything. This project is getting better. We just need we still don't have the air filter cover for it, or the air filter, and the blower tubes, because that stuff's just so hard to find, the OEM stuff. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Man, these gloves are so ruined. These gloves are beeping around.
Look at this, folks.
Alright, time to get that noise. Those things were pieces of garbage. Okay, sorry for that. Now we'll get some actual leather gloves. Hopefully didn't rip to pieces.